Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chris Buckman.
Here.
Carol Hadorn.
Here.
Larry Mangan.
Here.
Jason Newberry.
Here.
Deanna Garver. Here. Tom Henning.
Here.
Pat Lika. Here.
The adoption of the agenda.
I move.
All right.
Go ahead. I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion in a couple seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, all those opposed, same sign. Okay. Recognition of patrons and staff. Adam?
Yeah, we didn't have anybody sign up.
Okay. Good deal. Moving on to discussion items, we got financial literacy grant.
Yes, we have two of our great teachers in the district. Renee is here this evening, and then Elizabeth Vaughn could not be here this evening, but they put together a little video to start this discussion with the board. Since Elizabeth couldn't be here, they put it together for you, and so we'll watch it. And then Renee is here for questions about the grant they're interested in.
Good afternoon. We want to thank you for allowing us to present to you this afternoon. We're here to discuss with you a grant opportunity sponsored by Next Gen Personal Finance, and we're going to refer to it as NGPF through the rest of our discussion. This is a resource for personal finance curriculum, and my name is Renee Case.
And I'm Elizabeth Vaughn, and we're CTE instructors at the high school.
During the spring of 21, Elizabeth received some information at a business educators meeting about the opportunity available to high schools who implement a financial literacy course as a graduation requirement. And Kat from the middle school also received a direct email from NGPF. NGPF is willing to award a $10,000 grant to schools who implement financial literacy as a graduation requirement. The grant is intended to promote the financial literacy of all high school graduates. The initiative has been coined Mission 2030 by NGPF. We are wanting to be part of NGPF's ultimate goal, which is for all U.S. high school students to take a personal finance course before crossing the graduation stage in the years 2029-2030. To accomplish this, we would implement a graduation requirement for the freshman class beginning in the fall of 2022 and will be graduating in 2026.
Colleges report that 69% of incoming freshmen are financially unaware. The number of financial decisions an individual must make continues to increase, and the variety and complexity of financial products continues to grow. Young people often do not understand debit and credit cards, mortgages, banking, investment and insurance products and services, payday lending, rent-to-own products, credit reports, or credit scores, to mention a few. WHS currently has a one-semester elective called Consumer and Personal Finance. We currently offer a financial literacy certificate using the curriculum offered through EverFi, sponsored by Impact Bank. We only reach about 33 students a year. We need to look at a way that every student has the opportunity to receive financial literacy prior to graduating.
We are here today to ask that the board consider making personal finance a required course for incoming freshmen in the fall of 2022. We ask this because first and foremost, we believe it is what is best for students. As graduates leave and pursue post-secondary schooling or training, we want to make sure they are aware of how to manage their finances. We appreciate your consideration and are open to any questions that you may have at this time. Thank you.
Good job, Renee.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's get over it. Let's get over it.
So that gives you a little background, and obviously this is a common thing done across districts. Actually, a lot of districts have graduation requirement with financial literacy, and so Renee's here if you have any questions about what they presented.
There's about 49% of high schools in the state of Kansas require it for graduation.
I have a question. The incoming freshmen in next year, yeah,
Right.
that will be required for them. Is there any way we can start it now without having it, get more kids to take something like that? But like you said, I mean, I'm ready to vote right now.
Well, it's an elective that we offer. It's a
Yeah.
one semester class, and even if it was a graduation requirement, if it was approved that way, we would still want it to be a semester long course. The students are required to have one business credit for graduation. So that could serve both purposes. I mean, it would count towards half of a business credit, and they could pick up another half a credit somewhere. But to increase the numbers for the next year, I don't know, it always seems like, and it's not just what I know because I teach in business, but it seems like, you compete a lot with students because they have goals that they want to make sure that they're a Kansas Board of Regents. They want to make sure that they have, the qualified admissions. There's a lot of things that they're working
Yeah.
towards, and so it limits their schedule just a little bit. So I'm at a loss at how do you make them realize how important it is. I could work with that stuff all day long and never get tired of it. I mean, I love that kind of stuff, but they don't always see the relevance of it. And one thing that we had talked about was at what age, what grade would you ask them to try and take that as a required course? Personally, I feel like if you take it as a freshman, that might be a little early. I think probably the perfect time would be your junior, senior year for them to take that because it has more relevance. So to increase the numbers, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
When I was a freshman, Kay Bigler taught exploratory business. Anybody else have that class? And that's where I learned everything.
Yep.
Everything I know. I mean, back then, how do I check? I mean, it was great. And high school, junior high, freshman took that.
I'm trying to
And my
remember.
juniors, they had a debit card, but you're right.
Right.
Probably sophomore, junior might be.
Well, I'm trying to remember when it was Impact Bank even approached us. I want to say it was probably like 2006, 2007, somewhere through there, about offering this EverFi curriculum, and they have sponsored it every year since. And I love that curriculum, and that wouldn't be the only thing that we would use. I mean, we wouldn't stop using that, but NGPF has a lot of stuff that would complement that as well. So, yeah, and the fact that the curriculum is free, so that $10,000 grant, you can pick and choose how you want to use that within your district. And then that's probably when we would work with Dr. Kern to see what we could do through, K through 12 to even enhance what's being offered there too. So it wouldn't just, that 10,000 wouldn't just be earmarked just for the high school necessarily. So that was the other exciting part, that you have full control on how you want to use the grant.
And that's a one-time grant, or is it
It is.
recurring?
It is. It is.
So I'm glad you mentioned the tight schedules, because that's what I was kind of thinking also.
Mhm.
Is, there's very little room, especially as a freshman entering, that they think they got everything figured out, they think they know what their college path is or whatever path it is. And they've got things kind of hammered out already. They
And
may,
we've worked really hard this last year. We've been part of a first year grant. We've applied for the second year and still haven't heard if we've been approved yet or not. But it allowed us to really focus on our individual plans of study and what we're doing with that K through 12. And, the ultimate goal would be that the student on their individual plan of study, when they're a freshman, they do have some concrete direction on where they're wanting. It doesn't mean that they can't change it up, but then they know, I'm taking this elective course because I'm interested in health, or I'm taking this elective course because I would like to be, own my own business, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like that with what we're putting in place with the individual plans of study, that those freshmen will have a better idea of why they're taking the elective classes that they're taking. And so it's not just pick and choose
and you did say this will fulfill their business requirement.
yes, it
So
does.
this could be the one course that they decide to choose
Yeah,
or take to.
they actually need one credit. This would be a half a
Right.
credit, so they'd have to pick up
Okay.
another half
Okay.
somewhere, but
Okay.
yes, it could. Yes, it could. Well, Mrs. Lawless had I'm trying to think of what year she actually taught consumer and personal finance, and then her schedule got really full, and then it moved over, and then I taught it for a little bit, and now Mrs. Buchanan has that class, so you can ask any one of us, including Elizabeth, Mel, Carla, myself, and we would all fight to be the one that has that class, because it is just, there's just so much out there that you can do with it, and it's a good class. So you're right, just freeing up the schedule so the students realize the importance and what you can get from it, so. It always has good conversation anyway, for those that are there, so.
How much time do we have to actually discuss and implement this for the grant?
Oh,
Right.
okay.
There's
For the
always a
grant,
time limit.
They didn't give us a deadline, but we were shooting for October.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the idea, just anytime you say require, people automatically reach for their torches and pitchforks and I'd really like to see how this, I'm all
Sure.
for it, I just
Yeah.
like to see how it kinda goes over with.
Yep, and we can bring it back to the board, absolutely.
But as they're required to have a full credit of
Right,
business,
right.
it would just fit right
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
So I assume, having been there with you, obviously this year would be great to do that, but you're also all pre-enrolled and set up
Right.
for this year, so that would make it really difficult. You'd have to get additional,
Yeah.
you'd have to set up all the additional classes to handle.
And we just didn't feel like
graduation requirement.
Had provided that information to the students
Right.
early enough, so that's why we thought a year from now would probably
And
be
the
better
guidance
than
counselors would keep.
trying to jump on it right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great idea.
Great idea.
So it is down as a discussion item, so we
Yep.
don't really need action on it, but it is
No, I
a good
think- I
thing
think we-
to kick around.
Yeah, as like Tom said, I think we can let the
Yep.
public hear this, and if they have any comments on it, then I can bring it back to you
Certainly.
for a future
Right.
decision since we have the time.
Yeah.
Maybe
So-
that'll give you some time to kind of figure out what you could do with that 10,000 and kind of get a
Yeah.
little direction on that
Yep.
too.
You can do that. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that, or we're good to move on? Okay. Strategic plan, district goals.
Yes, we had a work session a couple weeks ago, and the board was presented with some changes, or updates to the strategic plan, and then district goals that were brought out of that. And so those are up for discussion tonight. We do not need to vote on those until next month to allow everybody to continue to digest those and give comments, and then also we can get those out to the public as well as proposed goals, district goals that they can also comment on if they would like to reach out to us. So just looking for any feedback any further feedback that the board had this evening, and be happy to go over any of them, but we would also request to put those out on the website as proposed goals, not board approved yet, to get any feedback from the community that they had in those. So it's kind of open for discussion tonight.
I had no questions, or I understood exactly where you were going, and I'm glad that you want to put it on the website. I think that will, I would like to get feedback from the public.
Everybody okay with us just putting those up as proposed? And
Yeah.
leaving that up for the community for a month, and then I can let the board know any feedback we receive from the community, and that way they have a chance to check them out too, and as you all have, and we will put that up for
Do we have a way to
August. Yes.
tell how many people look at our website?
Uh,
We have a count, something like, you know what I'm talking about?
yes, as far as hits on the, I'm assuming
Yeah.
there is, I don't know that
I just
offhand.
really
Oh,
was curious.
sorry, Jim's, why am I talking for Jim? Sorry.
We do,
Okay,
so
is it,
get
look
some
at it.
statistics for you.
Yeah, I'm just curious how many people, I forget about it.
Now keep in mind, Pat, those are generally hit counts, so, I mean, just because they go to the page doesn't necessarily mean they're
Right.
reading
Well, I'm
any of the
just even going to
information.
page would be
Yeah,
thinking about
But
it.
even the search engines will bump that if they're crawling it,
yep,
usually.
yep. But yeah, it's a good starting point.
We'll take care of that, if everybody's good with that.
Okay, moving on. At-large BOE elections.
Yes,
Any
last
info on that?
Yes, last month, the board began discussing, the option of, currently we have, 7, obviously, board member seats. We have, alternating years, every 2 years, we have District 1, 2, and 3. And then 2 years later, we have District 1, 2, and 3 in an at-large position, and then it flip-flops back and forth. So we're always doing currently a District 1, District 2, District 3 position, and then every 4 years we have an at-large position available. So the board had brought up just the discussion about what it would, the city council, I know we had talked about, has gone to an at-large board member election, which essentially means you can sign up to run for the board, and the top vote getters are on the board for the instead of the districts. Essentially, what talked to Debbie Norris, really appreciate her help at the county, and essentially, and also JP Buellsfeld helped me out with this, which I also appreciate, and I appreciate the board sending me his way. Essentially, what the board would need to do is the board would need to essentially have Martin Peck probably be as our district attorney. Come up with a question for the public. We would need to get that question sent to the county clerk by September. Then that question would go out for a vote for this November. And then that would essentially, if it passed, to move on to the at-large elections, then the 2 years from now, then that's the way the elections would be. Is essentially what we'd have to do. So essentially, if the board, this is up for discussion tonight, but if the board chooses that, that's our timeline. If they would like to send me down that path of having Martin work on some language that would be acceptable for someone to read in the voting booth in the fall.
Is this the one time we could do this? You said something about 10-year window.
Okay, so the other piece is, and it doesn't really fit this with the at-large discussion, but with districts, there's a 10-year window if we ever want to move the district boundaries.
Oh.
Every 10 years, there is a 90-day window that the board can make a decision to move boundaries within the community if you wanted to stay with district elections.
And again, you're talking voting district boundaries, not school district.
Correct, I'm talking voting district boundaries, yes. Yes, Larry, so that came up in the discussion as well. It doesn't really
No,
fit
I thought he was talking school district boundaries.
No, it was voting districts.
voting districts.
Oh, I mean, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like not
School
Washington,
districts
not
first.
Washington school district.
Right,
yeah.
right.
The whole
District
district.
1, 2,
Yes,
3.
right.
So, that is the information, and so whatever, obviously up for discussion with the board, and if the board's interested, we have until September to get that work done. Beginning of September essentially, so we have the rest of this month and August. We still have August board meeting to make that happen as well, so it's whatever the direction the board would like to send me in.
I'd rather just see us go.
I would too, just to give the people involved more time. We
Yeah.
don't wanna push this off.
Go down the path, have Martin work up some language, get it out in front of the public as soon as possible.
My big thing is numbers. I mean, a lot of, myself have ran unopposed, and I just would like to see more people out there, more people involved. And I think that might be an option to help on that.
Do we have to vote to do that, or we just?
I would probably, if you'd like me
Want a
to
vote?
do that, I'd probably like a vote on that. I think that
Just
would be
for the
good.
record.
Just
Well,
for the record, yes.
In discussion, I'm going to give what my 2-year-old grandson would. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good thing to look into at least further.
Yeah.
Get some more information out more and start working on.
So what do you want the
So,
motion to say?
so essentially, if that's the case, then what I will do is I will put Martin to work, and I will present the question to the board in August, at the August meeting,
But you would like a motion and a vote to
to
support
move
that.
in that direction, yes, to move
In
that
August.
direction. Yes, and
In August, or
Or do
you
you
want
want
that?
now to put Martin to work to
Right.
working on a question, I think. And then I would bring that question for approval in August. And then that will give us time to put it out to the community and also get it to the clerk if everybody's happy to make that happen, to put it on the ballot for November.
Are you still gonna use JP Buellsfeld as a resource? He was
He was
really
great.
good at this.
He was great, yeah. Actually, he's probably watching right now because I woke up the next morning after the board meeting with a
He was
email
already
from
on it,
JP before I could even get a hold of him. So I really appreciate him reaching out to me.
So I know there's some nuances in the city's charter ordinance that limits the number, so not that I don't think this has ever been the case. Well, maybe it has. Where if, in case you had like 15 candidates,
Yeah.
you don't have 15 candidates on the ballot, you limit it down to X number, whatever X number is determined to be. That way it just keeps the ballot a little cleaner.
Yeah, I don't
They
have
have
that
a primary
information.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
primaries and
There's
the
one
Yeah,
primary.
happen
You have to do a
in-
primary if there's over X number, and
Oh, I
I can't
gotcha.
remember off the top of my head what that number is.
Cause ours is pretty much limited by the state. We were, I mean, as far
Is it?
our, term limits, there's no term
Sure,
limits
sure.
and number of
Mhm.
people, that's all,
Right.
we're kind of limited. The only thing we have control over is number of districts, and I think that's pretty much it. Whether we wanna be 1 or 2, 3, or at large, I think are the only options that we have control over.
Oh, okay.
And I thought I read that the board actually did that. I didn't realize the public had a question involved in that, but I'm good with it.
Yeah.
So what does this motion need to look like?
I think essentially a motion to have the district's attorney propose a question or draft a question that the board could approve in August for, moving towards at-large elections essentially.
So I guess before we do that, I mean, again, this was in discussion items. I don't wanna push it too
Sure.
hard if anybody's got any reservations. I
Yep.
want everybody to have time to ask the questions that they.
Agreed.
But if everybody's comfortable moving forward, then by all means, let's
Right.
get rolling.
So this would be on the ballot in November?
The question
Whether to do
On
it
whether
or not?
the community wants to go to
Yes
at-large
or
or whether
no.
they wanna stay
Okay.
district, yes.
And you think the only thing, like you said, I'd be interested how many people can apply or can sign up.
I'm sure JP or Marty.
Yeah, we can
So
find
we
that
find
out,
that out, like,
yes, I can find that out for sure.
So I make a motion to have our district attorney, Martin Pack, draw up a question on the at-large voting for the school board.
Okay, got a
Thank
motion.
you.
I'll second it.
And a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. There you go, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
get that together and get that to you in August. Note here. Okay, good.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
DCS facilities plan.
Yes, in your packets, the DCS facility plan that the board had approved DCS to do was in, a digital copy was in your packet. I also have two binded copies here if anybody's interested in checking one out. But the digital piece is in your packet, so that is up for, basically, I wanted to get that in front of you. It's not necessarily, you've already voted to have this done, but essentially what I would like from the board is for you to go through that and let us know if you are happy with the product that DCS has put forward to help us out with. If there are things that you were hoping to see in there that you did not see in there, those types of things, so that we will also be discussing this with Tom and Larry and the facilities committee, but I just want to get this in front of the board since the board did order for this to be done, and if there's anything that you feel like DCS missed or anything that you would like us to go back to them with, then I want to make sure the board's happy with their decision on the product they ordered. So essentially we can, this is just for your review. I wanted to make you aware that you have it and that there's some others available, and if you have any questions past the meeting tonight, we can still talk about that.
What I didn't see in there was what I saw in Humboldt, or they did another school district, where they interviewed occupants of the building who could tell you stuff like, well, it's cold in here all the time, or various things that they observed being there,
Yes.
working.
And
I didn't see that in
And they
there.
did bring that up as something they plan to do, so.
Okay,
when
maybe
they-
in
when they
phase
sold-
2 or,
Yeah, so I will bring that up to them, and I appreciate you bringing
I
that
think that's
up.
good input.
Yes, I agree.
Very much.
Did you make it all the way through it, Larry?
I did.
Okay, I didn't quite get there.
Word for word,
I did.
picture for picture. So that is something that obviously board members can contact me and we can reach out to them further, and I appreciate that feedback, Larry.
I did observe one thing going through there. It looks like our infrastructure, the plumbing, the heating, the air, the electrical is in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Now the architects, he kind of ripped almost all of our buildings. But I was pleased that the mechanical stuff
Infrastructure
seems to be
piece, yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm thinking if we hadn't done the 2014 bond issue,
Yeah,
we'd have gotten a lot worse report
Oh,
card
yeah.
than we got.
Sure.
it would have been awful, Larry.
It would have been really brutal.
And the Gantt chart that was in, maybe that was Humble's, I mean, that's probably more of a timeline based on what they have the money to fund as far as repairs, right? So I didn't see the Gantt chart in.
No, I.
Yes, the chart and
ours.
yes, I need to, I already had that on my list to ask.
Okay,
But I'm glad
but
you
again, that may be more
Maybe that's.
money
the-
driven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's the next phase.
I will check on that too, because that is something I noticed. I had forgotten about the interview, so I'm glad you said that.
I like charts.
Yes.
Me too.
The only request that I have on that is can we move that somewhere, because I can guarantee you in 3 months when I go try to find this, I'm not gonna remember it's in the July
Yes.
board
Yeah,
member
Yeah, just make it
packet.
a shared
I will,
document.
yeah, I'll send it out to you.
'Cause I'm already I can't
I
remember what,
gotcha on that, you're right.
Yeah, I will get that into a shared document.
Larry probably printed it, so he's got his own personal
I
copy.
did not print.
Oh, you know you did.
This is Larry's copy right here.
I did do a spreadsheet.
It's 800 pages because he didn't do two-sided.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions on that? Any other discussion? Okay. So the next item we have is June policy updates.
Yes, so every 6 months, June and December, KSB sends out all their recommended policy updates. And we submit those to the policy committee, which is Chris and Carol, from the board representing. And from there, they approve these to come to the board. So these have already been to committee and then on to you. And essentially it is, it's a district business taking care of every time there's a lawsuit in the world, then something changes. So we have policy updates from KSB, pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, and have already been through committee, as I said, and they approved them to come on to you. So that is something that you are welcome to discuss, or you are welcome to, I can bring it back to you next month, or we can vote on it this evening. It's kind of up to you. It's pretty commonplace stuff, so.
It wasn't really much big changes.
Yeah, it's not.
It was mostly cleanup.
Cleanup stuff.
And like Adam said, the lawsuits that came out there, so.
Yeah.
Which bizarre.
So that's up to the board. I can bring it back, or we can take care of it tonight. It's up to you.
I'm
Good,
Want to take care of it tonight?
yeah.
Go for it, Larry.
Go for it.
No, you said,
I get to?
yeah.
I make a motion, we
Okay, no
approve the June policy updates to the KASP policy.
I second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign.
All right, we will put Shelby to work of replacing all those and
That's good.
updating our board policies.
And thank you, Shelby.
Yes, she's not here tonight, but
Oh, but she's.
she might be watching, who knows?
Okay, advanced safety and operation plan for
Yes,
21-22.
wanted to, obviously it is July now, we are coming off of one of the, craziest school years ever, dealing with all the COVID things that not only us, but districts across the nation dealt with. And so I know there will be anxiety heading into the fall about the different plans, and you get a different report every day where COVID's up and down and all over the place in different areas, including here. So wanted to possibly get something out to the community that kind of eases some of those anxieties about kind of the last year we were in a non-vaccinated world, and now we're entering in still a COVID world, but a potential for vaccinations for a lot of people. And so we kind of put together just an informational sheet of what we expect now. Obviously, we are under health mandates that can change at any time, as we saw last year, but this kind of gives just a general plan as far as just different ideas, things that we dealt with last year, and what we expect anyway to run into this year, assuming that things don't change in our health environment. So just wanted feedback from the board, and if the board is interested in getting that out to the community, then just wanted feedback on that.
I thought it was really good and a good thing to do for the community to have that, because you're going to have those questions.
Yeah.
And whether we can start that way or not, or however it goes, it kind of depends on how the community goes.
Sure.
So, yeah, I thought it was great. So, any other questions?
I had concerns
Yes,
about.
go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I had concerns about the employees who use sick leave time, so they have to quarantine.
Yes.
A new teacher coming in, what is the quarantine now, 7 days or something?
7, I think.
Yes.
You might not, I probably wouldn't quarantine myself if I knew I was gonna lose 7 days sitting at home. If that could be, I don't know, looked at or
Oh, you're saying so that they don't have to use their
use their
sick
sick
days.
days. Cause
So-
a new teacher only has so many,
Yeah,
you're just
I
sitting
did,
at home.
I did look at that, and
Is that
I wondered,
Is that a self-quarantine or is that a
Well,
county ordered
if
or a doctor ordered quarantine?
someone who's vaccinated would not have to quarantine anyway, so that's part of the deal. So that's kind of a choice on the employee's part. What the district's history of this is, the federal government actually had a requirement for us to not have anybody use sick leave through December of last year. That went by the wayside after December. The district chose to, because we did not have vaccinations in this area yet until March and April for our employees. The district chose second semester to continue that so that our employees were not affected and their families by that. So clear through the fiscal year, we have continued to keep that rule in place regardless of the outside requirement. So at this time, we feel like everybody's had an opportunity to get vaccinated if they choose to. And so at some point, I mean, it comes down to, and the board can obviously change that if they choose to. That's just what we followed up to this point. So vaccinated employees don't quarantine. Obviously, we're not going to know. We people don't wear something saying I've been vaccinated on them. So we are not going to know in the fall who is vaccinated as far as employees and who is vaccinated as far as our students. And so that's going to be back to kind of on the honor system. So really that is kind of getting out of essentially that rule. Pat, and I know where you're thinking there. I totally get it. That rule is basically getting out of the unvaccinated world into the vaccinated world. It's kind of the way it's set up. So that's the history of that, and the board. It's up to the board on what they choose to do there. Yes.
Under remote learning, it says remote learning will not be offered based on direction from the Kansas State Department of Education.
Yes.
What if we have a student that really wants to remote learn? Just no?
We will not be offering remote learning for students in the fall. We will, if there is some sort of medical crisis or something that we have a child that is in a serious situation, then we will obviously work case by case with those families to make sure they're in a good spot. But it's not recommended coming out of last year's remote environment to continue into a new remote environment for students based off of the advice we're getting from education.
What about if we have a snow day? Can we remote learn that day?
We could, and if we get in a situation where our hours are in trouble, then I could do that. I could absolutely make any day at this point a remote day. We could be set up that way if we choose to. I would want to let everybody know ahead of time that that's a possibility before we did that. But our calendar is set up so that we have more hours than we need in the first place as far as the state requirement. So technically, if there's a snow day, I could call a snow day. But we could also call a remote day if we ever got, like we did last year, if we ever got in a situation where, like last year, after we changed the calendar, we were down to the, down to the wire on hours. So it really comes down to that.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of wiggle room in there, but the way this reads, it's pretty hard and fast that there's just no remote learning, period.
Okay.
And I guess when I read that, I thought it ought to, I don't know, there ought to be some wiggle room.
Well, no, what do you mean wiggle room?
Well, like he says, if you.
Well, yeah, but that's different, and of course, I read it, with my knowledge, I read it as it was, but if you put in there that there's remote learning will be available, you would have to be
During
specifying
the
it,
situation.
because we had teachers that were actually assigned to doing remote learning when we had to have,
And we won't
no.
this time.
No. And so you don't want to blatantly just say remote learning will be available.
Last year, every student had the opportunity to sign up for remote learning if their family chose for them to. And so essentially what that statement is supposed to be saying is that, that won't be provided this year. Obviously, we have the capabilities for that for, extreme situations that we need to adapt to, that we don't want a student in harm's way. However, educationally, from what we saw last year, we feel best to have students in school if possible.
Okay.
So let that one maybe soak, and since it's just in discussion items, then obviously there's a few questions in the room that.
Yep, and that's
Maybe
all.
can be
And
brought
that's
to you.
also something, though, if we want to get this out, that it might be a good thing to, to get out. So if the board feels like there's some language changes needed, then we can absolutely do that before we send it out. That would be nice to get this out tonight. And like I said, this is preliminary. This doesn't mean that this stuff can't change based off of the health environment.
Yeah, I think the confusion is, where I'm taking it is, we need to say that we're not gonna allow students to sign up for a remote curriculum.
Right.
But if like the boiler situation arises or something like that, it's not saying that that's not available.
Right.
But we're
Exactly.
not gonna let them enroll in
Right.
an remote curriculum.
Correct. The only
I like the
people.
way you said that.
Yeah.
That sounds
Thank you,
better.
Tom. Thanks for saving me. We will obviously, Jen's, Dr. Kern's been talking to you
But I
about-
said it, but. Whatever.
Okay, Carol.
Yes.
But I really do want a snow day.
Yes.
I want, there's a
A
foot of
real
snow
snow
out
day
there.
where you don't
It's
have
a
to go to
learning
school.
experience for lots of kids to go out and see snow.
Yeah, and this'll,
And it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's-
Unless we were in trouble.
this is,
Probably won't get any snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we did last year, yeah.
No, just cold.
The only students that would officially be virtual students or remote students would be the students that have signed up, the juniors and seniors that Dr. Kern has been talking to you about. So that would be the official virtual school students. But this is talking about the remote learning that we use for the COVID.
So when you say it would be nice to get it out there, are you wanting to get it out to the public for
Mhm.
feedback right now? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
I would like to get this out to ease anxiety for our community.
So not
Enrollment's coming up, I think, is.
Not necessarily feedback.
Well, yeah, I mean, essentially, this is where we're headed. We will always take feedback.
Well, I guess
but-
my concern is if we, not that I'm promoting this, but if we took action tonight to approve this, feedback after the fact makes it a little bit more difficult.
Well, are we approving it, or are we just saying that puts it out there and if anything needs to be changed?
That's my
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's my
that's,
question.
that is the way I was thinking.
Okay, that was my question. Are we approving it as rock solid, this is what it is, or
Yeah,
No.
I can absolutely bring feedback back to the board. This is,
It's-
and like I said, this is subject to change. This is.
It does say advanced safety plan at the top, so we can always, eventually it won't have the word advanced, it'll just.
That-
it'll
it's
just be-
that advanced.
It'll just be the safety plan at that point. I make
Which
a
will be
motion that,
fluid because we found it last year.
Yeah.
Lane.
Right.
So
It has to
people
be
thought we were,
fluid,
yeah, he'll fight too.
Thank you, Deanna, for saving me. I need Tom and Deanna to save me tonight.
That's right.
I make a motion that we approve the advanced 21-22 district operation and safety plan.
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise their hand.
Thank you.
All those opposed, same.
The main thing, people just wanna know, do we have to wear a mask? or
Yeah,
not?
Well, I think that'd be-
that's the biggest thing.
That's the
Those
biggest
one
one.
of the
Do we
three
have
are
to
the
wear a
ones they're
mask?
gonna look
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Now we're to action items.
Yes,
Action.
action items. Okay,
at.
so,
Already took some action.
Department of Energy proposal.
yes, Lisa is back.
Laura.
Laura, I'm sorry. I said Lisa. I said
I'll
Lisa. I'm
save you.
sorry, Laura.
Chalk up the save for me.
My fault.
Chalk up the save for me.
Yeah, that's, man, I'm struggling with that. Sorry, Laura. Yes, last month, as you know, Laura presented to the board on grant opportunity through the Department of Energy and gave you information on that, so she's back tonight to answer any questions and to, you know, see if the board is interested in participating in that opportunity as the county and city are.
One quick update I can give is that the last couple weeks we've installed sensors in the city hall building as well as Raymond Fry. So we are capturing these hot days, so we'll be able to use that information as part of our baseline. The Department of Energy did extend the deadline. We should have heard on July 1st about the second one. It is now July 15th. So we're still waiting to hear about the larger grant, but if you guys have any questions, happy to answer.
Which school building have you got your eye on?
Well, I think working with you guys, what we've learned in this first process is that combining Jason's guidance too on attacking the buildings that have the higher energy costs and trying to reduce those. So it probably will be the high school, and you also have to have pretty controlled environments. They almost want you working in an empty box, which we know we can't do. But there are areas within the high school that we could bracket
It's so
off.
big.
Well, but some of the more populated areas like the workout room,
Yeah,
I think
we
we
think the
discussed,
athletic
and
department would be best because of, you know, it's year-round use really. It's with PSQ and everything else, it's going year-round and so, and all the camps. So that's really the biggest year-round facility that we have in the schools. And then obviously central
And this
office will be
building.
another one.
Yeah.
That's a year-round use.
This building needs a lot of help.
no, but it sounds like it has all these little hidden beauties in it. I can't wait to see. You know, we found installing these sensors, you basically cluster them so that in a lot of the buildings, there's insulation above these ceiling tiles. And so you have a sensor above the insulation, a sensor between the insulation and the tile, and then a sensor below in that same area in the actual room temperature. So we'll be able to assess if the insulation is helping, and then also, then we'll put the third one in so that it, when we install the actual thermal tile in between. So you'll be able to actually see, you know, which does which
How long are you
simultaneously.
monitoring this before you actually install the product? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
and hopefully we'll squeeze it down just a little bit, maybe early summer, because since we've been able to get the sensors in now, we're getting a lot of this summer data.
The total project's 3 years, correct?
Yes, and the second one is 5 years too, so it's hopefully if both of them kind of work in, you know, conjunction with each other, we'll be able to track them for.
So at the end of this project, do they come in and they say, okay, thanks for the data, and they pull all the tiles out?
No,
or you
you
hang
get
on
to keep
it?
everything.
Okay.
No, I mean, that is the beauty of it, is that, you know, it'll document all these savings and you'll get to keep that. Plus, you know, there's things like different types of thermostats that we can control. There's other little perks that have been part of it that we've been able to put in the buildings too.
That's really interesting.
I think it'll be super fun, and it'll be my job to start reporting the information so that people can understand it, because, you just throw out that thermal tile stuff and nobody really knows what it means. And so we are going to be communicating, Facebook, websites and things like that, showing how things get installed during the whole process too.
So if we vote on this, do we know that we're gonna be eligible, or is this, we're just voting hoping that we're gonna be eligible?
You're voting so that if we can integrate it into the first one, we will.
Okay.
The second one is really where the real opportunity is to do a lot of things, and like I said, we won't know for sure till the 15th. But in both cases, there's no cash outlay at all to the school district. It is all an in-kind relationship, so that basically you guys, what you provide in kind is the data so that we can track it. So
And there may be like some assistance from the maintenance personnel
maybe,
and stuff like that.
yes, that's right, Jason's right.
So you want us to make a motion to get data? Is that
Well,
what we're?
essentially tonight you would be, you'd be voting to participate in the grant if the grant becomes available.
Okay.
And you think you're gonna have excess tiles that would be used for this
goal.
purpose or that purpose or whatever?
That's the goal. And it's been a constant learning process to, we're working with the national lab and being able to understand what kind of buildings they want to study and yet still make it a real life study has been kind of, fit those two things together. But that's why we're saying it needs to be a building that's occupied.
I move we allow, I had all my head in my bill. I move that we give permission to use it, to have the Department of Energy grant possible for our school if we are chosen.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor raise their hand. All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura, appreciate it.
Thanks so much. That's really interesting.
Yes, thank you, appreciate it very much.
Wellington Middle School furniture.
Yes, Dr. Kern is up.
I went ahead, since I did an update right before you got here, I went ahead and printed this for you. And then I'm gonna show you just a little slideshow so you can see the difference in the furniture. You can definitely see a difference in price in furniture. And of course, I've recommended the one that gave us the best price, which is School Specialty. And
Since you send out the name, the waivers.
yes.
Okay.
For that one.
Yeah, okay.
So I chose this picture just because it's kind of similar to the shapes of the desks. And we're looking at red chairs that actually white tops on the desks. So all together for the 6th grade ELA Math Social Studies and 2 sped rooms, we're looking at 42 of the wedge desks, 33 of the square desks, 11 tables, not gray, actually gray legs on them. 92 red chairs, 5 teacher chairs, 6 round tables, 14 wobble chairs with flexible seating, 14 soft seating chairs, 17 ottomans, and 6 armless sofas. So I tried, these are 3 different companies, so I tried to match as closely as I could to have a good comparison. Well, on the soft seating, it's actually vinyl, so it's easy to clean and it's more durable. There's adjustable heights on the desks and tables, and the tabletops are white and white. So this kind of shows you the difference in the three. These two look very similar because they have the wheels on them. But these samples aren't actually necessarily the colors that we're gonna get. So we could make this one look exactly like these, it would just not have the wheels.
With locking wheels or?
These two do, but the one that we're recommending is the other one.
Is just.
Yeah.
Steel.
And then, your bids are on your papers in front of you. And I had them just break those up because when we started looking at Lakeshore and they sent in some samples of Lakeshore, the soft seating was a little small. And the teachers were concerned that it was too small. So, I broke that in half and then did the same thing with school specialty. And Smith System wasn't able to break that in half for me, but I just broke it in half so that we could make a comparison. And of course, Lakeshore did all the back end work of kind of showing us some different layouts for the classroom sizes that we had and what might look nice and just to kind of get our heads wrapped around that. So these are the three types of teacher desks that we were looking at. So you can kind of see a difference. They're gonna have the white tops though. And then these will be red and gray on the two tones and lots of red for the soft seating, to add lots of color in there. The chairs will be red. Those are just the different shapes of those for each company. And the tables pretty similar. And the student chairs.
You're suggesting everything come from school specialty?
Yeah, we
School specialty.
school specialty definitely had the best deal on the soft seating and more variety. They had just a lot of different options.
And yet, like, these chairs can be stacked.
Yes, they
Right.
can be stacked.
Of course, the others could too, but.
Right,
Oh.
right. So, I'm recommending school specialty.
The prices, very
Price,
good.
yeah, they did really well on getting us a price that will help us to, finish out the whole school. I mean, this is just a start, just to see, how it's gonna fit, and how it's gonna look. If we get everything in, or once we get everything in, and we're painting right now. In fact, over the lunch hour today, I changed clothes and went over and helped them spray down some things with the gun, and it's super exciting. It's a great project, and I'll send you pictures as soon as we get the classrooms painted, and then once furniture starts coming in, just so you can kind of see the process as we move
Can you
on
go back to the soft seating again? The pictures,
Sure.
and that's vinyl?
Yeah.
And what'd you say the warranty was on, it just,
Lakeshore said they had lifetime warranty, but that was just on
Wear and tear.
normal wear and tear. Yeah, not like if a kid took a steak knife and, stabbed it. We just have to, just like anything else, we just have to make sure our kids are taking care of things.
We still can't have steak knives at school.
Right.
Just making sure.
I guess I shouldn't have used that, maybe a pencil, scissors.
Unless the teachers are eating steak in the
That's
lounge,
right, you
which I would be really surprised.
are they washable or cleanable? I mean, if you have a
Yes.
permanent marker, you can clean those.
Yes, and I especially asked about that, and I talked to the school specialty guy, and I said, so are these gonna be super durable, because, these are going in a middle school, they're gonna get used a lot, and she said, we put these in hospitals, we put them in libraries, so they're in places where lots of people are constantly using.
Have they had them in primate,
So is
but
it
they
middle-
just come in and
Yeah.
sit down? Yeah, none of
Yeah.
those places sound like a school to me.
Sounds like the
Library.
toughest place
Yeah,
is
you
the
go in
middle
library,
school.
you sit down.
Yeah, we're probably gonna be a good test for them, but they, they told me that it's super durable.
You said the desks can be adjustable, can they be at a standing height for a student that prefers to stand while they're,
Yeah, I mean, they can go.
so you can have your desk be a standing
Mhm.
type desk?
That's a good question.
Jen, so this takes care of 5 classrooms,
Yes,
and it looks like it's about 38,000 or so, which works out to about 7,700 per classroom. But you're gonna go on to other classrooms too,
Right,
with
right.
kind of the same
yeah.
plan, okay?
Yeah, once we have the first one, this is the hardest part. Once this is done, it'll be a lot easier to go on to the 7th and 8th grade, to do more of them. But we'd like to start small just so we can, see how it fits in the room, how it looks, how the teachers feel about it. And they can always, trade pieces with each other if they both wanna trade. But they really, when we did the walkthrough about a year ago, and we walked through all the schools, but the middle school was just really, really needing an update. And it'll really look nice.
And the teachers have been involved in the process.
The BLT discussed, and that's how we eliminated the Lakeshore furniture, because they were feeling like it was too small, and they wanted flexible seating, so the soft seating was kind of added into the picture, and then we just did some research on what the trends were for classroom instruction as far as moving desks together easily, and that's where the kind of triangular ones come together. You can make little pods, you can move these things around so that you can have little collaborative groups. So it goes right along with our visible learning strategies too.
And budget-wise, did it fall within expectations or a
So-
little more or less or?
Yeah, and I was gonna let Wendy kind of talk about that.
Because of the kind of desks that she's getting, where like she said, you can put them into pods, you can separate them out. It does fit some of our ESSER requirements.
Okay.
So that's an option. The one thing about that is you do have to be a state approved vendor. School specialty is on some products and not on others. So as far as using ESSER funds, we will probably put this, if you approve it, we will probably put this through as an application process to the state, which is what we are required to do anyway with furniture or facility improvements through ESSER funds. If they don't approve them as a vendor, our capital outlay is sitting really good here at the end of this year, and so I'm perfectly fine spending it out of capital outlay. So either way, I feel like you're in good shape. I'm not concerned.
When's the last time furniture was purchased for the middle school? Anybody know?
I don't, I'm assuming the furniture was brought over from the old junior high whenever
Oh, wow.
I moved over, so I'm guessing,
So salvage value is about
yeah,
none.
yeah, probably so, so.
So-
What's that, sir?
No, I have a habit of interrupting.
Oh, okay, no, you're fine.
So the total is the 26,000 plus the 12,600,
38 something.
38 something.
Plus the 5,200, right?
Um,
Putting it together fee.
No, that's included in the.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that was already
Yeah.
included.
Yeah, I just thought I read
Included
that somewhere else.
26.
So it's 20 plus 12.
26 plus
About
12.
38.
So do they get rid of this like the furniture that's in there, do they haul away or are you responsible for that?
That's where I was getting confused.
We'll have to get rid of.
We typically work with the auction companies here in town and see if we can get anything out of it, if it's worthwhile, even if it's not very much, just to.
I mean, I know a lot of the teachers have decorated their own rooms the way that they like them and brought in their own stuff. I mean, I just wanna make sure that this is what they truly want, because their rooms are personalized to what they like. I mean, they've just brought in their own things, and so, cause flex seating is a big deal, and comfort and lighting, it's all a new thing, and learning, and I just wanna make sure that it's what the teachers really want, and, if it's all uniform and the same, if you walk down the hall and it's the same down, each classroom looks exactly like the one next door, is that what everyone really wants?
Sure, yeah, it makes the school flexible, because then as teachers come and go, you can use the furniture.
Oh, I completely understand all that, the flexibility of being able to, rearrange, or hey, I'll trade you a table for a chair. I mean, I get all that,
Sure.
but I just wanna make sure that it's, I don't know, do we wanna walk down the hall and every classroom look the same?
I doubt that they will.
That you
I
don't-
doubt that they'll
Well,
look
the
the
chairs won't
same.
be in the same place, it's gonna be,
Because each teacher will use it and,
Oh, no, I understand that,
to,
but it's ultimately the same. I mean, do we,
Well, and
Well,
right
seventh
now,
grade was like-
we have the maple desks, they're all the same.
Mhm.
So we're just getting updated.
no, I know, I understand all
So
that, I
they're all
just
the
want to
same.
make sure that, it's not really about the desktop. Because I mean, the last few years, I've walked down the halls in classrooms in this district and there's not one desk in the classroom. So, I mean, it's not just about the desk, it's about, flex seating is a big deal, making sure every student,
It is a big deal. And
how
it
tall,
is-
how tall do the desks raise up? You said that they raise up how high? I mean, is it for the height of a 6'2" middle school boy? I mean, is it gonna be comfortable for him who doesn't wanna sit, cause he can't sit for very long? I mean, I wanna make sure that it's comfortable. If we're gonna go uniform, I wanna make sure that it's gonna be comfortable for the 4'8" child and the 6'5" child. I wanna make sure it's right for everyone. If we're gonna make it look the same and it's all gonna be, if the teacher has to, can switch with another teacher and it's the same stuff, I wanna make sure that it's gonna fit everyone's needs. And I'd like to know the height of the tables, how high they'll go, how low they'll go. I'm just,
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, and if the majority of the board wants us to bring back more information, then we absolutely can, that's what we're here for, so if you would like us to, bring back that stuff, this is where we're at this point, and if the board needs further information, then obviously we are here to provide that.
I know, I was concerned at the beginning, like she says, so next year, 7th grade will be, everything in the building will be red and gray all through the middle school. And then, do we have plans to do the high school or eventually?
Yes, I mean, yes.
So that's what you're gonna see and what color gray is it? Cause I was really concerned about that dark gray. So is it a silvery light gray or is it that dark gray that you showed us to begin with? Cause that gray won't fly with me, that dark
Well,
gray.
you mean from this picture or from a real picture?
What we get, and will the reds all be the same?
The reds will be the same.
It'll be red, not orange.
Right, and I have a sample I can.
It really would have been nice to see a sample, and I've talked to some Washington teachers that got the desks, and I've heard, they've shared several things. Some think the desks are too small, but they are there all day long too. They're not just,
yeah.
In for a class and then they
You
leave,
mean the
so.
teacher's desk?
No, the students, and that they have no place to store anything, but again, that's the classroom of all day, not, you don't need a place necessarily probably to store your thing, you don't. Not that you would, kinda.
I guess I'm thinking, if you went, this take care of the 6th grade and we'll see how it goes. And maybe we'll learn,
That would be great, especially since, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get this in, so we would like to get them set up before school starts.
So do they have this in stock? That would be my question, because so much is out of stock right now.
And
Do they
COVID
have it?
has
Do they
slowed
have it
everything
so
down.
we can get it in or no?
And that's another thing that I asked because I know we're getting closer
Yeah.
to school starting, and they said they would do the best they can, but that they thought it would be 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks out.
Are we, my only concern with this is people trading furniture to a point where someone's got the monopoly on the soft seating and someone's, you know,
Someone else
like they're ganging up on the
has.
new teachers, like, no, the new teachers get this, we get this, and then pretty soon, I mean, that's the only concern.
Um,
I think the administrators can get involved.
yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna
Yeah.
have to.
Give them something to do.
Yeah. Is this do you have the colors for the is this the soft seating or is this the chairs?
That is the school specialty colors for the chairs, but they use those colors
Okay.
for a lot of
So
different things.
is this the gray
So
or is?
I would
You're
Which gray?
talking about like
have
only
more of
the desks,
Just for the legs,
the
right?
legs?
Yeah, the
Well,
legs
the
and
soft
then
seating will be gray.
yeah, the legs will be gray like this, and then they'll be white.
Jen, I thought you said the soft seating was red.
Yeah,
So that photo's not really representing what you're talking about,
Right,
Jen,
right.
Right.
Because Lakeshore, when Lakeshore put it together, that's all they had
Correct.
was gray.
Right.
So school specialty has actually the option to do 2 colors. So we can do red and gray together.
The first picture on the left, that's one piece, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's.
It's just 2 colors out.
One piece, 2 colors.
So it's up to the board, we can bring more information, we can get some samples, bring them in, or we can, if people are comfortable, that's.
More discussion or
Up for
more
that.
action?
I'm ready to make a motion to go move forward with school specialty to furnish the 3 core classrooms, 6th grade, ELE math and social studies, and the 2 special education classrooms.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, raise their hand. Okay, looks like it passed.
Thank you.
Moving on to administrative reports.
Let's see. Maybe
Do you have anything on that?
Oh yeah, I did. I just wanted to let you all know that we actually put in an appeal to the state. It came to us that not all of our 4-year-old at-risk students were accounted for on September 20th. So Peggy was great. She worked with Futures, which actually got us an additional 5.5 FTE in the 4-year-old at risk. So it did actually increase our general fund budget by about $13,250, which is great. But that money was also completely passed through to Futures because it was based specifically on those 4-year-old students. So I did want to let you know though that the general fund was adjusted a little bit.
That's it for administrative reports?
So you guys have anything else?
Okay, looks like we got 3 executive sessions.
Yes, 3 executive sessions, I know that'll excite you guys. Sorry. Go ahead, Tom, sorry.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to include Adam and the administrative team to discuss legal matters for 15 minutes. The regular meeting will resume at 7:24 p.m.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, same. Okay. Man, you didn't even give us a break, did you?
No, we get. We go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel to include Adam and the administrative team for 10 minutes. Regular meeting will resume at 7:34 PM.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all those in favor? Those opposed, same. believe we have one more executive session.
Okay, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss negotiations to include Adam and the administrative team for 10 minutes. The regular meeting will resume at 7:44 PM.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all those in favor, raise your hand. And here we go again. That's right.
when we're talking.
Yeah.
Are we back? We're back in session with no, open session with no action taken, so now we're moving on to the consent agenda. Big breath.
So I have a question.
Yeah, if,
Okay. I asked Adam if I have questions about some
Oh,
of
sure,
these.
sure, sorry.
Okay. The truancy reporters, are all school building administrators. I just think we really need to work on truancy and I guess I just have a question. So every building administrator knows who's truant. Who do they report to and what happens? Because I think truancy is a big issue.
sure. Well, with COVID, it was definitely a
Yeah,
topic that came
Sure,
up a
but I
lot
think
this last
I
year.
mentioned that before anyway.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is each school tracks attendance, and then there's a state statute on truancy that we have to follow. And so we, based off of them, a number of days a student misses, then they follow that state statute and any district policy that's tied to that. And then they would report that to the county attorney if somebody reached a point that met state statute there. And then at that point, it's our job to continue to track it, and it's in the court's hands whether they choose to deal with that or not. So
Okay.
that's how it runs currently. So what it means there is each school does that individually.
So if they have a student that reaches the X amount of numbers that needs to go to the county attorney,
Correct.
that administrator goes to the county attorney.
The administrator or their designee sends that specific paperwork that is needed to the.
And I know in the past, our district attorneys haven't been real big on truancy.
Yeah.
Do we know, I mean, I don't even know who's the new district attorney, so I just wanna make that point that I think we really need to follow up on.
Yeah,
truancy.
we've had, each county attorney has different opinions or has different things going on, and so it comes down to, whatever their.
And the SRO's involved with the administrators on all that, right?
Yes, yeah. And the SRO can make home visits to deal with truancy as well if the administrator requests that, so. But that's kind of the process, I think, is what you're asking.
Okay, then last time we had discussion on approve out-of-state travel for administration national conferences. I think, Chris, you brought something up about that. I didn't
Yes.
know if that was, because last year we didn't include that or something. Anybody remember that discussion?
Yeah.
Because nobody was going anywhere.
Yeah,
No, this was before COVID, because it was in the summer.
Oh,
So essentially what that's saying is well, I can do it however the board wants me to.
I just know
Essentially-
last time we discussed it, so that's why I'm just.
So it's for transparency for the board and for the community, if we decide to send somebody to a national conference, that allows myself to talk to Wendy about budget, to look at the needs of the conference, all that type of stuff, make the decision, book the travel, but then also put that in the consent agenda so that you guys see that and the public sees that. Not just, us just do it and not allow everybody to know. But it also isn't a vote for you every time we wanna do something. So essentially, you're just giving me the power to make those decisions, but also communicate it to you and to the community.
I think that's the way to go.
Does anybody want to change the meeting time to 7? No, okay, I just don't like 6 o'clock meeting time.
Yeah.
It's hard to get here by 6 o'clock. Okay. Okay, that's my 2 cents.
On the meals, we got all the meal prices, but everything's free, right?
Yes, everything will be free this year, but we're still required by state statute
To set some meal
to
prices.
set meal prices, yes. In case something were to change or, that's just state statute. I'm not sure the two match up well this year, but that's where we don't wanna not have done it and
Okay.
have been expected to.
Okay.
But yes, it is.
It's still required that we put it out there, even
Alright.
submit it to the state, even though it's not gonna be.
But administrators, they pay for their lunch.
yeah,
Yeah, they should be.
I always did.
Yeah, we still charge for
Yeah.
adults.
Or they find another way to get it.
Any other questions on the consent agenda before we come to it?
I had one more.
Okay. What's that?
Alright.
Alright, good luck.
Alright, act on appointments, designations, and authorizations. Deputy Board Clerk Daniel Farley.
Yay.
Food Service Authorized Rep and Determining Official, Free and Reduced Meal Price Applications, Kelly Adams, Federal Programs Project Representative, Ann Schindlever, Truancy Reporters, All School Building Administrators, Coordinator for Homeless Children, Dr. Jen Kern, Papers Rep, Casey Wickham, Freedom of Information Officer, Adam Hatfield, Federal Anti-Discrimination Compliance Officer, Daniel Farley, Official Newspaper for Legal Publications, the Wellington Daily News, Official Depository for School District Funds pursuant to KSA 9-1401, Impact Bank, authorize the Board Clerk pursuant to KSA 12-105BE to pay claims as needed in advance of the regular board meeting in order for the district to benefit from discounts. Authorize applications for and utilization of funds from Title I, Title II, vocational grants, Eisenhower Math and Science grants, food service programs. Adopt the hourly required school year as followed. Kindergarten through grade 11, 1,116 hours. Grade 12, 1,086 hours. Adopt the state mileage rate of 56 cents per mile. Adopt membership in the KSAB Legal Assistance Fund, $2,100. Adopt membership to Kansas Association of School Boards, $12,650.58. Adopt guidelines for activity funds and gate receipts according to KSA 72-8208A. Approve district handbooks as presented. Approve out-of-state travel for administration to national conferences as approved by the superintendent. Approve dates for budget review and publication of the budget. The following dates are being presented. August 9th, 2021, 6 p.m. Review budget and approve publication. August 11th, 2021, publish the budget. August 23rd, 2021, 6 p.m. Budget hearing followed by special BOE meeting. Statutes dictate the process for budget approval. There must be at least 10 days between the budget approval for publication and the budget hearing. Meal prices for 21-22. Elementary breakfast, $1.60. Middle school breakfast, $1.50. High school breakfast, $1.50. Elementary lunch, $2.75. Middle school lunch, $2.95. High school lunch, $3.20. No changes in meal prices from last year. Appoint Martin Peck as District Legal Counsel. Appoint Jared Brown as District Treasurer. Approve annual contract with USD 619 for 21-22. Approve annual contract for Futures Unlimited. 21-22 resolutions. Act on resolutions authorizing petty cash and activity funds for administrative offices as presented pursuant to KSA 72-1177 and KSA 72-1178. Petty cash fund amounts. Superintendent's revolving, $1,000. High school, $1,500. Middle school, $1,500. Special education, $500. Food service, $500. Act on resolution 21-01, authorizing a petty cash fund for superintendent's revolving fund. Act on resolution 21-02, authorizing petty cash for the high school. Act on resolution 21-03, authorizing a petty cash for the middle school. Act on resolution 21-04, authorizing a petty cash for special education. Act on resolution 21-05, authorizing petty cash fund for food service. Act on resolution 21-06, authorizing activity funds for the high school. Act on resolution 21-07, authorizing activity funds for the middle school. Act on resolution authorizing activity funds for Lincoln Elementary. Act on resolution 21-09, authorizing activity funds for Eisenhower. Act on resolution 21-10, authorizing activity funds for Kennedy Elementary. Act on resolution 21-11, authorizing activity funds for Washington Elementary. Act on resolution 21-12 to establish Board of Education meeting dates, times, and locations. Regular meetings shall be the second Monday of each month at the district office at 6 p.m. Act on resolution 21-13 to establish home rule by Board of Education. Act on resolution 21-14 to rescind policy statements from the previous year. Act on resolution to waive general accepted accounting principles. Approve the minutes from the June 14th meeting, approve payroll and bills, payroll being $2,421,800.42. Bills $678,224.01. Personnel, approve new hires, Linda Chase, National Honor Society, sponsor for the high school, Rebecca Heyer, 5th grade teacher for Eisenhower, Dustin Miller, seasonal grounds crew, Charles Fillmore, seasonal maintenance crew, Hannah Chef Lawless, assistant softball coach for the high school and assistant volleyball coach for the middle school, Dexter Davis, special ed teacher for the middle school, Caitlin Downey, special ed teacher for Lincoln Elementary, Jenna Schroeder, business teacher for the middle school, Kaylee Custer, district secretary, Karen Cornejo, business teacher for the middle school, Jessica Walker, assistant cheer coach for the middle school, Todd Larkey, drama sponsor for the high school, Jan Graves, special ed teacher for Kennedy, Shaylin Dixon, para high school. Approve resignations, TD Buck, PE teacher and softball coach for the high school, Vicki Holcomb, special ed teacher for the high school, Kaylee Swan, head 8th grade volleyball coach for the middle school, Michelle Lloyd, assistant 8th grade volleyball coach for the middle school, Kylie Younger, Edgenuity and credit recovery coordinator for the high school.
That's where,
Good job.
Good job. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
As read very well. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor raise their hand. All those opposed raise their hand. Okay. Board comments.
Can we get an update on the Crusader credits?
Oh,
you want it now, or do you want us to bring that to?
Oh,
Are
you don't have to do it
ready now?
tonight. I just want like how many teachers
we just had
participated
one
this year? Okay.
that did it, and it was mainly, just teachers were saying they just didn't understand it enough, so we're going to go through that at the beginning of the year, just to make sure that they understand what it is and how it works, and now that we have an example that we can show them, I think that will help too.
Can we get all the banners at the middle school one color red? Have you- Anybody seen the banners at the middle school? Nobody, I've been talking about it forever.
Yes,
They're
I
like-
have,
They're like, aren't they bad? They're like red, bright
yes,
orange.
I asked about that, and it was, they were student made.
That's great, but they don't, if I got from my home, I would say
And they weren't
that.
from the same stock,
Yeah,
and so they said that,
Did the high school make them?
yeah, and even when you order the same color, sometimes if it's in a different stock, it just.
and can we order them from a company, not have kids make them? And they don't even say what they're for. It'll say 7th grade boys tennis, okay, and it'll list a year, but it doesn't say, obviously, I'm assuming it's league champions or something, but it doesn't say that. I mean, they're just banners with,
There's companies that do that, I know.
yeah, I mean, that's great, but if they're not gonna look right, you really need to look at them. There's
No,
orange,
you've told me before, I know what
yeah,
you're talking
they're,
about.
they're really bad,
They don't match, you're right,
and
and,
But they were made by students.
they were at the high school. So, they could be remade, all using the same stock, or we could
they should say what they're for. And they don't,
If they know.
no. It just really looks,
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
just thought since I got color right here in front of me, I
Yep,
would
yep.
throw that out there again.
Any other board comments? No. Okay. I believe we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I've done laptop to laptop charging.
There we go, into a new year.
So I've never done that.
bring it back.
Nice.